What happens when you live? Oh, there you go.
A second time.
Thank you, Google, for helping us in this recording. A round of applause, but actually none. Let's not applaud to Google. No, let's not do that. All right, everyone. Welcome to this community call. Thank you all for joining me, especially those people who are here live. Thank you so much for spending your time with us. And today we are joined by Mir, who is the hub manager at Lugano. So she's the hub manager for Plumbing Network for the Lugano hub, and she's also the wife of Giacomo Zucco. I don't know if you know this detail. And she also has two beautiful kids. And today we're going to talk a little bit about family, about values, and what it means to raise kids in the, let's just say, Bitcoin standard, or rather teaching them about Bitcoin, what Bitcoin means, and what are the values associated to Bitcoin. So welcome, Mir, first of all.
Thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure and an honor to be here.
Thank you for your time as well. And without further ado, I would say let's start. One thing I wanted to say to you guys, we're going to do this as a conversation. So feel free to raise your hand if you need, and or write a question in the comments whenever you need to ask, and I will give you some space to also talk and ask questions to Mir. So let's start. As I said, so she has two beautiful children, and her family is, I guess, using Bitcoin and knows the values of Bitcoin. So it's interesting to understand how this transmits into, raising children. So first of all, what I wanted to share with you guys is a letter that Mir had the pleasure, was so nice to share with me. And it's a letter dedicated to your daughter. And can you tell us a little bit about what you wrote and why did you write this letter?
Actually, it was like inside a project about women and Bitcoin. So I had this idea to create a letter to send to my daughter, written in 2019, but to be read in the future to my daughter. My daughter was at the time 1 year and a half, something like that. And I wanted to describe what we were doing as Bitcoin parents, as Bitcoin in the community of Bitcoiners. And so it's about like a description of what we were doing at the moment, which is kind of similar to what we are doing now: education, spreading information about Bitcoin, creating communities, boosting community, build stuff around Bitcoin. But at the end, I think it's important to remember that our kids are our priorities. So in the end, I don't care that much if she's going to be a Bitcoiner. Hopefully, Bitcoin will be something super trivial. So in the future, so in the letter, I imagine a future where Bitcoin is used by not everyone, but from many people. So it's just like something like using Google now. And the fiat word is something of the past. But still, I don't care if my kid is going to be a Bitcoiner or not. I care about she's putting all her effort and passion in doing what she decided to do in her life. Because in the end, that's more important even than Bitcoin. As Bitcoiners, we love Bitcoin, of course, but there are some priority in my perspective. So in the end, it's about that. Whatever you are doing, I hope you are putting all the passion that we are putting in these Bitcoin things.
Well, that's interesting. I think it's the most important thing, to support them in whatever they do. Yeah, as long as they don't, hurt themselves.
Yes. Recently, a friend asked me, if one of your kids will turn into a shitcoiner, what you are going to do? And I reply like, well, if he is going to scam, well, he was referring to my second one, because he's definitely more probable than my first one, than my daughter. My second one, my son, is definitely a little bit more reckless. But if he's I'm going to stop him. If he's going to scam people, that's a strong boundary. But in the end, if he's going to turn into a trader or support in other things, I won't be happy, but I will try to change his mind. But what's more important to me is me and the relationship with my son, and probably in some time he will understand that they are smart kids, so they will understand. But it's more important to me my relationship with him, and of course the boundaries about not scamming people, not hurting themselves. Of course, that's I think it's the basic where nobody cannot support something like this.
Mhm.
But even that, for kids, I will tolerate an Ethereum supporter, which is very hard for me to say as a Bitcoin maximalist. It's very, very difficult only to imagine this, but that's the reality in the end.
All right. So speaking about this, like you said, you are Bitcoin maximalist. So you have certain
Yeah,
values you adhere to in
yeah,
your life. Are you trying to teach them about these values? What are these values that you're trying to,
yeah.
transmit to them?
It's funny because when I was pregnant of my daughter, um, she was one of the first Bitcoin kids. So I also have an account for her, not showing her, but just like Bitcoin baby, because she was like the first Bitcoin baby from two Bitcoiners in the space, at least from people that were like doxed as me, just like me and Giacomo. And so we were like the first generation having Bitcoin kids and posing themselves the question, how will I raise these kids with
Mhm.
Bitcoin value, and how can I do this? There were no example for us. But in the end, and after some years doing this, because my daughter is right now 8 years old, um, it's definitely easier, and nobody has the exact formula for doing that. And I think that every time you think you have learned something in parenting, then you discover, especially if you have more than one kid, you discover that probably the second one or the third one is completely different, and you didn't understand anything. But it's adjusting all the time. But of course, there are some values that stay the same. Um, Even if the kids are very different between each other. And I think, talking about maximalism, I have like created this quote about Bitcoin maximalism, which is minimalism. And to me, minimalism in this sense means focusing on the right thing or on the right stuff. So, of course, one of the things that we are trying to teach our kid is about focusing on the thing that really matters in life, because life has a lot of option, a lot of possibility, but focus is super important. And I'm also mean like real attention span, especially nowadays the kids are exposed to video and things that are moving very fast, and they don't stop thinking, reasoning about what's going on in life. And it's focus is something they have to learn, as long as boredom, which is something they cannot even imagine, because from boredom they can create, there is creativity, and boosting creativity, boosting ideas and project. So you want to instill something that is right nowadays is completely unusual. Another thing that is super important to us is critical thinking. Even if you are a kid, you can have an opinion, and please share the opinion to me. So when I get back from the school of my daughter, the teacher, she's a kind of shy girl, my daughter, but the teacher told me that um, my daughter raises her hand to ask a question and to interact, and I was like super happy about that, more than about this than like having great grades. I don't care about like having the best grades. I care more as a Bitcoiner if she has her own opinions, if she poses question, she's like if she's interacts with everything's going on. Authority is important in a school, but of course yourself as an individual is super important too. So it's something that we try to tell her and the brother is my son is only 3, so it's kind of easy at the moment, but it definitely is more like Giacomo, so definitely more allergic to authority. So I have probably the opposite problem with him, and but Yes, the values are definitely the Bitcoin values. Also about, low time preference is so important for
Mm.
kids, because kids are all about high time preference, right? So teaching them to wait for something is very, very difficult, because they are not developed to do that. But if you start early, if you can do some sort of experiment, if you wait a little bit, you are going to get more. Or like you are going to have the famous marshmallow
Yeah.
experiment. The majority of kids actually got one marshmallow immediately instead of two after some time. And kids are usually like that. But over time, if they see, or putting them a little bit in competition and they see the other getting more if they waited, something like that, because it's important to understand that sometimes you cannot have everything all together, and it's better to wait or to sacrifice something to get more in the future, is something that we try to teach, not always with success, but but sometimes it works. It also depends on our patients and their patients too. So another thing that I've learned having kids, you can have a lot of ideas and a lot of you know uh, when you are not a parent, you always think that you're doing better than the other parents. Actually, when you become a parent, you understand better the other parents, and it's super tough work. So you are more flexible with other parents, and you understand more them, because you understand them than doing something for such a consistent time all the time, and with life going on, it's tough. That said, of course, you have to pick your battles, and some of our battles are the ones that I described. So I think it's another thing that I can imagine is also about health. So in our home, for example, we don't. Sleep is super important. So I think sleep is like the most important pillar for the kids, for their energy to behave well, to learn, to play, to do everything, and also for parents to be like a better parent. And of course, I'm not talking about the first years, first 2-3 years, when the kids tend to sleep very randomically. But after that, it's very important for us to kind of have a strict schedule, because I want them to sleep many hours and to be fully recovered, because health and energy is super important. And maybe we are just lucky, but actually my kids don't get sick very often. Actually, it's very, very rare, and I think it's about the fact that they sleep a lot. And for example, we are not super I wouldn't say that we are like Steiner people, that we like everything dirt. Of course not. We are very clean people, but I don't over clean. Actually, I think that we live in such a over clean place. So my kids, especially the second one, tend to eat everything, and I'm just like, okay, this is for your immune system. And apparently, this is working. I don't know if we are just lucky of these strategies working, but I think health is super important. And also doing something a little bit like extreme, like don't put in too many clothes over the kids so they adjust to cold the temperature. It's kind of working in our case. So I don't want to brag about it, but it seems working in a way.
This is very interesting, because I was wondering myself when you were speaking, if these could be values that like any parent could teach the kids, and it is true. But in one way, do you think that knowing Bitcoin and the values behind Bitcoin could influence the way you teach one value rather than another? For example, you spoke about like
Yeah,
low time preference, which is like one of the basic concepts of Bitcoin.
I think it's everyone has a different type of set of values, but being a Bitcoiner put the priorities probably in a different order. Probably the majority of parents will tell you, oh, it's important to have low time preference, but very few would teach that properly, and just like one of the most important thing in
Mhm.
life. Also about critical thinking, they are like, ah, yeah, it's important to think for yourself, but in reality they are not doing action to boost them in the kids, while for us is something that's truly important for us. So it's a
Mhm.
matter of priorities, I guess.
Mhm. And what about money? Do you teach them about
uh,
money? How about
yeah, sure.
Bitcoin? And how do you teach little kids about Bitcoin?
I think it's from what I saw from my kids. It's just like Bitcoin is something normal in their life. Both of my kids, they were like saying Bitcoin and recognize the B of Bitcoin very early, while they were just like speaking the first words. Between the first, I would say 20 words, there was Bitcoin because there were B everywhere. They were keep hearing from us the Bitcoin word. So of course it was just something natural, and but for them it's just like a symbol. We have books for kids, we have plushies at home, so it's something like very nice and natural for them. While growing up, and I'm talking about my first one, Amanda, actually the books become a little bit more difficult. We have a book talking about the history of money for kids, and
Mm.
so on. But she's a very curious kid, so she's starting to ask him proper questions. The other day she was asking to Giacomo like a crazy question, like oh well, if money wouldn't exist, it would be easier for anybody. So it is a good question actually, but of course it's absurd. So she was curious about it, and they talked with Giacomo, and um, and Giacomo was a like starting doing a lesson, and at some point my daughter was like, okay, cut it. So you also have to consider that you are not doing like a lesson in university and the attention is that. But she was curious about, and I think, but in the end I think the most important thing to do is practically teaching about money. So giving them some tips, and making them save money for themselves, putting probably in a little bit of competition, putting some in Bitcoin, and so you have a wallet and you see Bitcoin volatility a little bit, and one of the two kids is with Bitcoin, the other one is without Bitcoin, and see the difference probably. And I learned this from a friend of us. He has like three kids, three boys, and he was talking about the fact that only one invested in Bitcoin, the other one were on fiat. And of course, in the long term, in the medium term, actually, the one with Bitcoin gained a lot and was super happy about that. But of course, in the short term, he was losing. So it was very difficult to accept for him. So it was just like very nice to see that in practice. And also anything that can have like practical implication would be definitely easier for them to understand. Well, we were living in El Salvador, in a Zonte. We were there for like 2 months, 2 years in a row. Amanda was using a small wallet on my phone to pay for ice cream, whatever. So he has her budget. He learned that he had to save some for herself. He just like doing do this in practical way and see that Bitcoin is real money, and is something that, and see the difference with a credit card, difference with like cash. You show all the option. You show the pro and cons, and make them to do the choices and take the responsibility is super important.
That's I think that's really useful to do, even when they are super, young of age, to start teaching them about responsibility, as you said, because I think this is something not many people do as parents, because they
Yeah.
kind of protect their kids until they are very adults, almost adults, I would say. And this is wrong, I think, at the end of the day, because they don't gain the sense of responsibility for things that belong to them in this sense. So we
They
have a
have to
couple of
accept they have to accept the reality, and sometimes
exactly.
you lose. There is some small defeat, and it's better to do this in a controlled way. um, Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, of course, this could be open like a giant discussion. Recently, a family of Bitcoiners moved to another country because living here, where I live in Switzerland, was too good to be true for kids. They are not, they are in paradise. So at the same time, I believe that in a way you want for kids the best place. And there are some challenges that you can expose them to some small challenges, but living in an environment like this, I still think it's amazing. I don't want for them to live in another place, but this is a personal choice of the family. So for me,
Mhm.
just like small challenges, not like living in a war zone, please, especially if you have kids. But they didn't move to a war zone, but definitely in a country which is way more difficult than Switzerland.
Yeah, that's a big challenge, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you mentioned books. We have a couple of questions about books.
Yeah.
So, what was the book you talked about the history of money to teaching kids
Uh,
with us?
Probably is an Italian book. La
Oh, I
storia della
think I
moneta.
know it. I think
Mm,
I know it. And I think
uh,
it's just in Italian.
yeah, I think it's could be only in Italian. I have to check. It's a giant book, but for kids, especially if they are around like at least 6, 7 years, they can understand the book. But yeah, I will get back when I'm not at home to check it out. It's a very nice book. But in general, right now we have so many books for Bitcoiners, Bitcoin related book. But I think it's also important the history of money because it's something as Bitcoiner we just like. Oh, okay. So if language is not problem, I will share the book. Yeah, sure, later. And it's also important to understand the history of money because otherwise, at some point, also my daughter she asked some question like the last month about why we have money, what is money, and that's really interesting because the majority of us didn't ask this question before
Mm,
Bitcoin, and majority of people never questioned this even now. So it was a very smart question. What
mm.
is money? Why we are using money? It's uh, it's a very important question, and this book addressed this basically through the history.
Nice. I would be happy to share it with anyone,
Yep.
with everyone. And also, guys, this video is gonna be on YouTube, so we're gonna put all the descriptions of the video and all the resources in the description. So feel free to watch the description now and find everything. A little bit of a gossip question, maybe. Is there Was there ever a time that you and Giacomo disagreed on the vision you wanted to, you know, you wanted to create for your family? Or like, did you ever disagree on what you needed to teach to them?
I think we are kind of aligned on almost everything. Um, we discuss more about our differences are more about job and Bitcoin actually normally, but we tend to agree a lot on that. Probably something that we are like. Probably nutrition is something we
Mm,
we discuss a little bit because Giacomo is more like so. It's more like about low carb, keto, carnivore, whatever. But in the end, it doesn't do it so much. And I think for kids, they need their carbs because they move all the time, they have to grow. And so in the end, I won. So I think probably the quantity of carbs in kids' diet is something that we discussed. But it's like kids are growing. They need energy, they need this, they have all their life. And of course, once you are putting the good nutrients in their diet, it's okay. You can choose between the other part, and I think it's great if they can have their carbs.
sounds fair. Well, it's great that you guys are aligned because I know some
Yeah.
people that have families and that want to teach kids about Bitcoin and money, but
Oh
somehow
yeah,
their partner disagrees or they don't have the same view. So it's hard to
yeah,
coordinate in this kind of case, you know?
yeah. I think I have seen some couples. even before kids kind of split, because I
Mm.
think Bitcoin is something like very, very strong in our identity, tend to be very strong. So it's just like changing a lot of our beliefs, and being with a person that don't care about, I mean, I know couples where one is a Bitcoiner, the other is not, but I think at least the other person who is not a Bitcoiner, they should care about the other person enough to be interested and to understand how important is for the other person
Yeah.
this topic and all the beliefs. So I can imagine some people having problems growing kids while they have different views. And of course, I think it's important to tell you guys that as like the first generation on heavy Bitcoin kids, we were posing a lot of questions. One of the questions were like how we want to do the things in the best way, and we thought that there were some things that every family should do the same way. So for example, my kids go to school, and I felt kind of guilty because I wasn't homeschooling. We considered doing homeschooling, but in the end, it wasn't the right decision for us. But I want to share with you guys the fact that I kind of felt guilty, because I wasn't the perfect like Bitcoin mom with all like the things that a Bitcoin mom should do. But I think it's important to do what is working for the family. Everybody has his own combo and mix. For example, we wanted to travel with the kids a little bit more than what we are doing. So things also changed in retrospect. But it's okay. We are choosing what's the best for us as a family, and every family is completely different. So I don't think something like a Bitcoin family really exists. But of course, Bitcoin is part of our job, our life, our identity right now. And so I think it's something that we share normally with the kids, and we try to educate them about. So while on the
Mm.
other hand, the right Bitcoin family is something that kind of scares me a little bit, probably, because we want to stay free.
I mean, but then again, what is a Bitcoin family? What is
Yeah,
a
exactly.
Bitcoiner at the end? Like
Yeah, exactly.
it's all a matter of definitions, and
Yeah.
no one agrees on this kind of definitions, you know, because some people say, okay, Bitcoiner is someone who uses Bitcoin. Okay, but you can be a shitcoiner and use Bitcoin. So
Yeah.
is that a Bitcoiner? Are you a Bitcoiner only if you are a maximalist and you only eat meat and you know exercise every day? So if you don't exercise every day, you're not a real Bitcoiner. So you know this kind of definition is how can I say, it's not really trustworthy at the end of the day. And I think,
Yeah,
as you say,
absolutely.
everyone does the best for themselves and their family.
And Bitcoin
And
is about freedom in the end. So if we are
exactly.
imposing this to ourselves, we are not doing a good service to ourselves, to our kids too. They are seeing like people they are like doing things they don't want to do. And so, for example, homeschooling was
Mm.
a decision that costed us a lot. But in the end, we look at each other between me and Giacomo, and we're like, it's okay. They are going to go to the school. It's not the optimal solution, but it's the best for our family.
Mhm. And I guess at the end of the day, the most important thing is that they have a good base that the
Yes.
family gives them, because they're gonna
Yeah.
come home from school and ask questions, and you're gonna be the ones to answer them at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, it's a part of their day. But for example, what our compromise is the fact that they are going to school here in Switzerland, and the schools are really good. But the point is, they go to school not many hours. So if there is a strong indoctrination, they have probably half of the time than in other country. And so we are super like happy of the formula. They go to like outside a lot. And so it's like one of the best compromise that we found. So we moved here also because like the school look like they are very small, curated. They are very, very, very nice place. And of course, some of the topics they are sharing at school, sometimes we have to discuss with our daughter because, for example, They are talking a lot about environment, so they are scaring kids. One of the
Mm.
funniest thing, I'm still joking with my daughter, was that at the school they told her that the lake of Lugano is one of the most polluted in the world. And I was like, there's no choice. There's no way this is true. Probably they kind of tested like 5 lakes in the world, because there's no way. She believes that because they repeat it so much, and they care a lot about this agenda, and that's okay. She will grow up thinking about this, which is super funny because it's a beautiful lake, and and that's it. I think it's important that she's still sharing everything with us, and so we have like conversation. We didn't convince her in the end. The authority was more important than us. The authority at school was more like strong than us, and that's okay. It's something that we have to accept, and probably once she will grow up, we'll understand better that it was something very stupid, hopefully. But at the moment,
Mm.
it's just natural. So I didn't notice anything against our value, except for a little bit too much environmentalism. Yes, that's
Mhm.
present here in Switzerland.
That's Thank you for sharing that. This is very interesting, actually. There's a question from Miguel. I have been thinking about how to make sure my children are ready to receive Bitcoin. Think about it like inheritance. I'm curious
Wow.
to know if the letter you wrote to your daughter was part of the readiness protocol.
The readiness?
I think it's talking about how to. Would you like
Yeah,
to speak
sure.
yourself, Miguel?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, yeah.
and thank you so much. I'm loving it.
Oh, thank you,
Well,
Miguel.
yes, and we're so similar, Mir. It's crazy. I'm just laughing every time you're talking about it because, and I put more comments on the chat. But I'm thinking more about that concept of transmitting values and wisdom, and also how to make sure that my child is going to be ready. That if I die
Mm,
or something happens to me and they
yeah,
receive the Bitcoin because everything is in place, uh,
yeah,
that
yeah,
they are not going to buy a Lamborghini, or that they are not going to go to buy all the Roblox skins, and waste it for digital nonsense. So that keeps me awake at night, and I'm calling it this like a readiness protocol. How can we make sure parents have a readiness protocol out there to be able to make sure that your child now knows low time preference, the delayed gratification, critical thinking, you name it. Like there is a list of things, but I was wondering if that letter that you wrote to your daughter, which I think is incredible, and we can talk more about that because I have a couple of ideas. Um, if that was part of that, like just to plant the seeds of that readiness.
I think it was just like an occasion to talk about Bitcoin community at the time. But of course, I think about being ready to give back to my kids what I learned. And personally, I thought of writing like an instruction for life, like just a small book for my kids. Everything I have kind of learned until now. So it's something that I want to write, and hopefully it's not something that it will be only a good intention, but I really want for them to read something like this. To me, just like start from here. It's not that like it's everything is correct, but it's what I learned, so you can like start from here and doing better than this, in my idea. And I think for me and Giacomo, probably we are a little bit spoiled by the fact that we shared our vision through many speeches so many times, that our kids will find our vision eventually in the internet, if internet is going to survive as it is today. So nothing is sure, but I think we are not that focused on that, especially Giacomo has so many occasions to talk, and so many contents that we are spoiling that. But if it wasn't the case, definitely I will rush it like a small book on what I've learned, because I think it's super important. It's something they can add some, and probably I will add like blank pages in the end for them to add something and to give like to their granddaughters, and to keep the legacy going on. I was thinking, that you were talking about the inheritance, like team, just like our past in Bitcoin. So at the moment, we like share with other family members about that. And I think once the kids are definitely older than now, we are going to explain them directly. But I think they should be around like probably 15 years old to understand these and taking care of this. But of course, normally you could do this when they are 18 for the law, while with Bitcoin we are ageless in that, so we have to decide when is the proper time to do something like this. But as parents, anytime we take a very long flight with Giacomo, we look at each other, especially because we tend to fly together, and we're like, oh my god, did we have left everything in order for the kids? Every single time. If it's a short flight, like in Europe, we are okay. But we were traveling abroad together. We are like, oh my God, we are traveling together. If something happens, because on the plane, you realize that. And of course, it's a stupid because it could happen anytime in every moment in your life. But every time we are just like, oh my God, we set up everything correctly. It is just like a realization moment for our kids. But of course, if you are alone, it doesn't matter. When you have kids, you start thinking about them in the future, and you want them to grow with values, and maybe with some value, money value, has begun to pass them something to live a like hopefully a better life.
I love it, Mir, because we are so similar, and we should talk more because I'm also doing a
Sure,
similar book.
sure.
And another thing that I'm considering, and I know you have considered as well, is Bitcoin is proof of work money. I think, and we have been thinking about it, is inheritance should be also proof of work. So I'm kind of like
Oh
digesting
yeah.
the concept, because if it's just granted, then it's like the lottery ticket syndrome happens. The countless the trust fund kit happens, and those are my fears. So it's like, how can we make sure? But for sure, we don't need to solve for this in this call. I just wanted to like plant the seed, and
That's super interesting.
if I can ask another question, Mary, very quickly, it's about my wife and I are also considering homeschooling, because I agree with you. The education has been hijacked for many years.
Yeah.
Critical thinking was taken away from schools like many, many years ago. So was there a curriculum that you selected? Because once we started doing more research into homeschooling, it's like there are hundreds of ways. So I'm just wondering
Yeah.
which one you took.
Well, actually, no. I didn't look properly because it's very difficult. I mean, our decision was to to enroll the kids to school, good school with our values, but it's like very difficult to to select a curriculum. And I used to be a music teacher, for example, so I'm teaching music outside of the school. Giacomo is teaching some physics, some things that we can do, but otherwise I would be very scared because I don't feel like properly prepared. But it's my I think in the end, it's definitely easier with this curriculum that they are all set up by other people. So for me, probably homeschooling wouldn't be an option if I was around a community of other people doing this. So I think it's super important to help each other with the skill sets that everybody has. I think more than the curriculum, probably I would choose a place where other parents are sharing the things all together. So this is creating like a better experience, because if I'm thinking doing I'm homeschooling isolated, it looks a full-time job.
Indeed. Yeah, totally. It sounds more like a good Bitcoin parents community will be.
Yeah. And hopefully there's something like this in the future will be super easy and trivial to have, but at the moment we are like, as I was telling before, like first, second generation having Bitcoin kids. So we are just like very pioneering in this, and so we are just like trying to understand and know each other. And of course, even here where I live in Lugano, Lugano is a very small city. We know, I wouldn't say we know each other, but there is not enough a family with Bitcoin kids. Even here is the Bitcoin city in a way, Lugano, but still not enough family to create a community in that.
Thank you.
Yeah, and as you said, it depends on the situation where you are, the place
Yeah.
where you live, and you have to make a decision at some point.
Yeah.
Because I know some people who have started homeschooling, like actual schools that like do homeschooling, but not about Bitcoin. Like it was, let's just say a few years ago, when the situation was a little bit different and people didn't want to send their children to school. So there are some schools here and there, but I understand. And I guess as long, like when the demand is gonna grow and more families are gonna have children, the situation is gonna be different for
Absolutely,
sure.
absolutely. Yeah. It's just many people feel that they wanted to change the situation because the kids are coming back at home like tired with crazy ideas, and they are not satisfied, and they are not learning that much in the end. I was like, Daniel Prince has he has like 4 beautiful kids right now. They are growing and they are all so smart. They've been homeschooled by him and his beautiful wife, and they are incredible. I am just like every single time amazed. They are so different between each other, but the things that they have in common is just like they are super smart, asking questions. They are interested, curious, and they are responsible. All the things together. What an amazing job they have done! It's incredible.
So wait, do you know communities that already do this kind of homeschooling education with Bitcoin? Does any of you
Actually,
know some community like this?
somebody showed me a map. So there is a map where you can see all the, I don't remember the name, but I think if you look for like homeschooling communities, you can see directly the map. Oh, it was a map of Japan, probably, actually, while I was there. And so you can see other families around you. So if you are moving or you decide to move, you can see the concentration where there are more communities. I'm not aware of Bitcoin communities. I know there's something was going on in El Salvador, very in some places where some families were putting their like effort together, but it's definitely something that I would research by myself. I'm not that aware. Dusan Matuska from Amity Age was, even if he doesn't have kids yet, it was sending some resources. So if you want to, he's also like collaborating with Plumbing Network all the time. If you want to reach out to him, I think he's super knowledgeable about that.
Yeah, I used to know some communities who did homeschooling, but they were not Bitcoin communities, so I wouldn't know. And maybe on BTC Map you can find something related to that.
I never tried,
know.
but it
Me
would be
neither.
very interesting. I like, yeah.
And
Oh,
yeah, Miguel is saying you could be the one starting a community like this. Why
wow,
not?
that's amazing. It's like something, I really admire you. That is another level. But yeah, I think in the end, it's if you are doing that for your kids and you're like a little bit more familiar, why not? Why not starting a community from there? Is the community always start from like 2-3 people and then grows. So it's a really good idea.
Yep. Does any of you have any other question? So any final advice you would like to give to families who have children and want to raise them with Bitcoin values?
I think it's like very cheesy and trivial, but in the end, you're not going to regret having more Bitcoiners than more Bitcoin. Even if these Bitcoiners are going to cost you a lot, but it's like the reason or the meaning while as Bitcoin parents we're doing what we are doing. So in the end, it's the richness, the most amazing richness we can have is having these little Bitcoiners, but even if they are not like they are not going to be Bitcoiners, but they are going to teach us so many great lessons in life. And so, and I'm talking as somebody who was like sometimes, oh my God, parenting is super tough. I am just like in Italian, chi me l'ha fatto fare? I don't know how to translate it, but it's like, who make me do this? Actually, it's just like very Italian to say, oh, it happens by chance. No, it didn't happen by chance, but we are like that in Italy. And sometimes it's a super tough and hard. And then I stop and I put everything in perspective and I zoom out. And I think it's like, it's really incredible adventure. So it's tough. There's nothing I can relate to this, but definitely worth it.
That's great. So if there's no other question, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All right, lots of hearts for you.
Thank you, Miguel.
So I have one last thing to ask you, actually, Mir.
Yeah.
Is there something interesting you're working on right now that you'd like to share?
Oh yeah, right. Actually, yeah, I am a mom, but also working mom. So I am right now at the POW space in Lugano, which is a co-working space. We have is a citadel. We have like there's something that is missing. Actually, is a school inside this, or like a baby parking, whatever. It was like one of the idea we had at the beginning, but it was impossible for low reason. But we have the gym, we have the restaurant open here, and we have the co-working. So I'm working from here, and I will come back to my kid. And right now I'm working on something amazing, which is the Cypher Tank, and I want to share with you because I'm super excited about this. The trailer is going to publish in like the 21st, of course, of January, and the 31st. We're going to do the premiere of the Cypher Tank, which is like, if I have to describe it, it's just like Shark Tank, but for Bitcoiners with Bitcoin projects and Bitcoin judges. So we have 5 episodes. I wouldn't say that they are like Netflix quality, but almost the quality of the production is super, super high. And so we have between our judges, we had like people just like Jack Mallers, Paolo Ordoino, Preston Fish, judging the Bitcoin startuppers and judging the winners of the competition. So it's very entertaining. In less than 2 weeks, the premiere will be out. Of course, it's going to be free. So if you guys are going to follow us from Plambinator, you're going to be aligned with everything from the Cypher Tank. And if you want to support this, it's very important for us because we can create another edition next year, and we can give Bitcoin and money to these Bitcoin startuppers. I know the winners, who the winners are, of course, because we filmed this. And the projects, guys, that won. We have like 2 categories, the non-profit and the profit. And they are really, really interesting Bitcoin projects. So our idea is just not like creating only a show, but of course, boosting through important Bitcoin project. So we are different from Shark Tank. We don't give like small money to create a show, but we use the show to make like funding in Bitcoin entertaining, but we give good money to like low time preference Bitcoin project. I hope I pitched you well, but I'm very excited. And so the teaser will be out in a week. And so you can see by yourself, everything is free. And if you can support it's a giant project. And so thank you very much also for making me shield this, Mary.
No worries. I cannot wait to see the trailer on the 21st.
Oh, yeah.
And you guys, I had the pleasure to see some part of it, and it's
In
super,
real
super, super
life.
interesting in real life, exactly. And there are projects that
Crazy.
are really super, super interesting. It's something that I could never think of, but then you meet these people and they are so inspired and inspiring, and
Yeah.
it's going to be super, super, super interesting. I promise.
Yeah,
So,
it's just like seeing front in real life was good, but see all the montage is just like, oh my god, what we created. And I want to share something with you guys. It's just like we created everything in 2 weeks. It doesn't make any sense how we did this in 2 weeks, but trust me, we did this in 2 weeks. And so right now we like changed our mindset on like creating project. But we're like, oh, we have done the cipher tank in only 2 weeks. We can do everything in our life. No, it was only once in a lifetime thing. It will never happen like this again. So, but it really changed our perspective in job projects. But hopefully you are going to like the results too.
yeah, I hope that there's going to be more, and I hope you're
Yeah,
going to keep
hopefully.
your sanity while doing it,
Oh,
while organizing it.
yeah.
So, last but not least, guys, I wanted to share with you that the price for the Plan B programs is going to rise soon. So, let me actually share the screen. If you don't know about what the Plan B program is, guys, you should go to our website. Let me show you super quickly. Can you see the screen? The shared screen? I think so, yeah. All right, so the Plan B programs are programs designed for people who want to work as developers and who want to be business people inside the Bitcoin space. It's a program that will start in February and until June. In this program, you will have the possibility to meet a lot of people inside the Bitcoin space, ask them questions, do some networking, and it's going to teach you a lot about the Bitcoin industry, and you're going to become a Bitcoin professional in a way that you can propose yourself to Bitcoin companies at the end. So please, if you are interested, have a look. If you want to join the program, go here. You can click on developer or in business program and enroll. The price is for $150 for now, but it's going to raise soon. So you guys should go here. I would say within a couple of days maximum, or even maybe tomorrow, it's gonna rise up. So, and you're gonna have a discount code in the Telegram group chat. If you don't know what the Telegram group chat is, feel free to DM me, or you can find out by going through Discord, and the link is gonna be here. So you can join us on Discord and ask everything you need to ask about the program. I'll be happy to answer and to help you enroll in the best possible way and with the best possible price. So right now we have a discount code dedicated to community. So I cannot wait to share it with you guys. And as I said, if you have any more questions for Mir or regarding the program, feel free to ask in Discord or Telegram. If you are watching the recording, you're going to find all the information in the description below. So go and click. And guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much to Mir for
Thank you so much.
her precious time to us. And I'll see you guys in the next call, which is going to be on the 29th of January. So don't miss it. And thank you so much again for joining us. I'll see you next time.
Ciao, ciao.